Please, you can join your room.
Quick question. Will there be any visuals? Is anyone going to have PowerPoint? Do we have to share privileges with anyone?
Yes, they can share, and our moderator, they will allow them to make them co-host. They can share the PowerPoint. Obviously, they will share the PowerPoint.
Yes, this is room A. The main room, this will be room A. And we'll be starting in a few moments. Please make sure that you are in the right room, family. If you are supposed to be in room A, then you are in the right place. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Do you want to go ahead and stop share screen, please?
Not sure.
Good morning, family, and welcome to the STAR Global Conference 2021 Graduate Student Panel. I am Andrea Abeita, coyote walking in this world, real life Asleto Pueblo superhero, and two-spirited indigenous warrior with roots from Laguna Pueblo, Acoma Pueblo, and the Philippines. I'm also proud to be the chair of the American Education Research Association Graduate Student Council, leader of 7,000 of our amazing peers from around the world. And I'm so proud to be asked by my dear brother here to be moderating the sessions today. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to be going in order. Our two distinguished judges, Dr. Desai and Dr. Daly, will be sending me their scores, which will be based on a 100-point rubric. They'll be sending that to me individually. I'll be writing that down and tallying the scores before we are done today. We have 8 amazing graduate students who will be presenting their research. As we are going to be going in order, does everyone know or want or need to know when they're going? Or is everyone aware? I can go through that list. Thank you so much. Let's let some people in real quick. Our first speaker today is going to be, and do forgive my pronunciation, family, please correct me if I'm mispronouncing your name, but our first...
granted the limitations of planetary resources.
I'm sorry, family. Can you also please mute unless you are going to be speaking at the moment, so we do not interrupt our amazing speakers. Our first speaker today is going to be Phattra Marbang from the University of Georgia. The title of the paper is International Student Experiences with Changing Policy, a qualitative study from Middle Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and put 10 minutes on the clock, family. I will be giving a 3-minute warning, a 2-minute warning, and a 1-minute warning. And we will have 5 minutes for questions and answers. And as your turn comes up, I will also be doing the technology on the other end. So if you are a presenter today, please go ahead and make sure that I can find you. AKA, make sure your name is going to be... Oh no. I am sorry, brother. Are you still here? I don't think I have the power to make them a co-host. Okay. Nope, he left. Okay, hold on one moment, family. Okay.
Hola. Pero es que me pillas en un momento malísimo. Pero hablamos en otro rato. Es que tengo una conferencia por aquí por Zoom y estamos aquí liados. Pero hablamos, te llamo después. Cuando vaya para Vigo, te llamo si eso. Venga, pretiñas.
Sorry, family. Give me one moment while we figure out the co-host situation really quickly. I just sent him a message. Give us one moment, family.
Oh, you can't make them co-host?
I can't make them co-host, so I don't have that option under my screen.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. Who making them? Who are presenting right now?
So I'm trying to make the first speaker a co-host, and it won't allow me to. So for Marbang.
Yes, I made her co-host.
Sorry. Okay, do you want me to go down the list, and do you want to just make them all co-hosts real quick before
Yes, yes, I'm doing it. Please, I made her co-host.
Sharif, someone is saying that in the chat. You need to enable sharing to all.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you for your patience, family. Our technical difficulties have now been solved. We're going to go ahead and let our speaker take over. And yes, I am getting messages. Thank you, family. Thank you for checking in. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. You now have the table, and we have 10 minutes on the clock.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone. My name is Phattra Marbang. I'm from Thailand, but right now I'm a second year PhD student at the University of Georgia. I am honored to be here today and appreciate an opportunity to share my work. So here's my work titles, which Abeita already stated. So this is for overview for the presentation, I am going to introduce you the research background, research questions, the working definitions, and the theoretical framework, methodology, discussion, and conclusion. So before I go to the research background, I want to ask everyone that, have you ever felt panic or anxiety that is caused by the government's action? If your answer is yes, you might experience the similar things as the international students in my research did as well. So the research background, this research was conducted during the January 2019 to April 2019. And I also want to talk about the US political climate after the US 2016 election, the former President Trump deemed to create the US as an unwelcoming place for immigrants overall, as well as the international students to study abroad, right? Because he made some like rhetoric about immigrants as not undesirable people, such as the Muslim ban that he came out with. He portrayed Latinx population as criminals or rapists, or even wanted to build the border wall between Mexico and the US. And when it's come down to the international students or high-skilled immigrants, the administration at that time also raised concerns on this population, such as the Buy American, Hire American, putting American worker first, or H-1B visas, and answer any part after college. So because this political rhetoric creates fear of immigrants or racial others in the US, the moral panic, they think that immigrants supposedly threaten the morals and the norms in the US society, economic and cultures and things like that. So we wanted to study how our international students' life experience and life adjustments impacted by policy regulations and political changes. And we also wanted to investigate how do international students perceive the current political rhetoric? And if their perceptions are negative, what contributes to their perception? And now I come to the working definitions and the theoretical framework. I say rhetoric so many times, but what is it, rhetoric, right? The rhetoric is then the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing. Excuse me, oops. What am I doing? Sorry about that. So like this kind of speech, right, could create the moral panic. And the moral panic is a widespread feeling of fear, often the irrational one, that think that some evil person or things threatens the value, interest, or well-being to the community or society, usually perpetuated by moral entrepreneurs. Now, who is the moral entrepreneurs? They are referred to an individual, groups, or formal organization that have influenced a group to adopt and maintain norms, altering the boundaries of the society, such as the government saying that this group is bad, and so we need to do something about these people. And the folk devils is a person or group that are portrayed in a folklore and the
La devi
media
vedere sì, con questo signore qua.
as
Ci sono
outsider
alcuni aspetti che
and deviants. And they are also blamed for the crimes and the other social problems. So for methodology, I will not go to the detail on that, but I conducted in-depth interview talking to 17 international students. As you can see in the table here, I highlighted the country of origin just to indicate that each student experienced US immigration policy differently. The level of negative feelings depended on nationality and assigned race in the US, right? Now I move to the discussion. So when we studied, we saw the relationship between political rhetoric, moral panic, immigration policies, and the negative feelings among international students. So fear of immigrants kind of like generate or put the country to come up with immigration regulations target particular group, right? The immigration policy impacts immigrants at two levels. The macro levels, it's immigrants overall, including international students, are like a folk devils and not welcoming to the American society. And the micro level, it's a create boundary between US citizens and non-US citizens, and create the interracial conflict between these people. And so the US policy and rhetoric, right, kind of like leads to negative feelings among students, such as feeling unwelcome, anxiety, post-graduation uncertainty, and conference and travel planning. So to conclude, like I stated before, that the administration, former president, and the media act as a moral entrepreneurs who generate moral panic and the immigration policies, right? And then also allow discrimination actions against immigrants. But we also suggest that the panic over international students is exaggerated, you know, or even high-skilled immigrants as well, right? Because these people were willing to return to their home after graduation and or internship, right? For socio-economic, cultural, and political reasons. I want to end the presentation today with this last point. Garland suggested that when studying the moral panics, it should be studied as the assumption of being symptomatic of something else. Moral panic might be the symptoms of American society that was racialized, that was fear of racialized fear of other people. And finally, the panic over these groups are not because of they are actually taking Americans' job or are likely to take American jobs, but it's a symptom of unsolved problems in the United States. For example, unemployment, crime, healthcare, and so on. And so, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause for our speaker, please? That was a little over 9 minutes. Now we are going to have 5 minutes for question and answer. Who would like to go first? Our judges, our illustrious judges, would you like to start? Or anyone in the room?
Sure, I have a question. Thank you so much for that engaging and interesting presentation and really interesting topic. My question was about the participants. Could you elaborate a little bit about how the participants were invited or recruited for this study? Thank you so much again.
So participants, the first participant was my friends who are from Thailand as well, right? I also recruit most of participants through the flyers or, poster in the university library and around the campus, just to get people to talk about the topic voluntarily. Thank you.
I would like to ask a question. Thank you for your presentation. Could you discuss the limitations that you see in this study?
The limitation that I have is I can't generalize this experience to broader. I do know like some in depth for particular country, but it's because of my participant were so various, like variety from so many country of origins, and so that's kind of like I know some aspect from this country, but then I can just make it generalizable to overall. And also the research setting is unique as well. It's the southern state, a public university in the southern states, and it could have the political climate, the environment that different from like the bigger cities like New York, California, and so on. So am I answering your questions? Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Could you speak more? How do you think it affects private universities versus public universities? The more, we know racialized policy of the United States. It's the wider your country, the more people you can come in, the easier it is to access the United States. How do you think that really affected your participants' experience, if at all? And also, how are you going to use this research going forward?
So for the private university, I would say that it depends on each university's kind of like supports, like social supports in that university as well. I seeing that if the private university that really need international students for the tuition reasons, then they would like kind of like help ensure that this political rhetoric will not like readily affect them, because when I say immigration policy, sometimes it was just the proposed one, it's not even enacted yet, and people just afraid. But if the university ensure that students will be okay, then I think that would help. And in terms of how I gonna use this research forward is kind of like might do the comparable research for each administration, like kind of like if you have the more welcoming environment for immigration, for immigrants, then you would gain more international students and have more income to the country and so on. I could do in a comparative way. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 30 more seconds. Does anyone have one more question or a final statement from our speaker? Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we are going to go ahead and move to the next speaker. Give me one moment, family. Our second speaker, let me make sure. Is Margherita here? Margherita Daho? Okay, give me one moment, family. Let me check the participant list.
She is in the other breakout room. She's listed there.
Okay, let me message her. Give me one moment, family.
Oh,
Yay, technology.
she should be there. Okay, but please go ahead with the next participant. I am talking to her in the next other room.
Okay, our third participant is Shihua Brazill from Montana State University with the title International Doctoral Student Experiences in Higher Education, Reconceptualizing Cross-Cultural Socializations Through a Strength-Based Perspective.
Can you make me with the host? I log in twice on the other computer. So this one was not the host.
Definitely. Sharif?
Thank you so much.
You have 10 minutes on the clock, and I will be giving you a 3-minute warning, a 2-minute warning, and a 1-minute warning. Thank you.
Okay, I cannot still share my screen.
Okay, hold on one moment.
Thank you.
Okay, how about now?
No.
Oh, I think he wait a minute.
I guess here's my 10 minutes up.
No. Hold on one second. Let me try this again. I'm seeing you as a co-host on this end.
I think that was the PC because I forgot my charger. So in order to see my video, I have to log into this one. And the one that is with my first name, I'm not able to share my screen here.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me email him again. So I can't identify your, oh, there's your second one.
Yeah, the other one doesn't have video. So
okay, let me find him again.
Sorry. It's okay.
Okay, where did everyone else go, guys? I only see 11 people now.
I think they go to the other room.
Oh, okay, it's gonna be okay. Wow. Sorry, family. I don't know how to send him an individual message in the other room, so I sent a shout out to everyone. He'll be coming soon. Forgive us.
So I can also present on the other.
Let's go ahead and see if Emmanuel, are you here? No. Okay.
Margherita is now here.
Yes, Margherita is now here. Oh shoot. I don't know if Margherita is not is Margherita co-host? Yes, you are. Okay, just kidding, family. While we're waiting for Sharif to come back to help us co-share, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna try to figure out how to talk to him with Margherita. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll try because they changed my place. They changed my room, so I was confused because I was invited to go in the other room, so I didn't know if I was in the correct room. So anyway, I'm going to share my.
Sorry, we're gonna give me 1 second. So just a reminder, family. We are going to have 10 minutes. So to reintroduce, we have Margherita Daho from the University of Messina from Italy. Her title today is going to be The Hard Path of Becoming a Visiting Scholar in the US. She will have 10 minutes and then we'll have 5 minutes for questions and answers. Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Okay, can you see my presentation? Can you
Yes.
hear me well? Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for inviting me today. Actually, I'm not going to share research, but it's more a report from a personal experience. Since childhood, everyone told us that college was a worthy investment, an investment in knowledge, because it pays the best interest for everyone, for the world. In particular, since the first day of my PhD, instead, I heard that pursuing an ambitious research project with satisfying results is an essential element of every competitive PhD student. And that is why I wanted to study abroad, to continue my research abroad, in order to be more competitive, but also in order to gain knowledge, learn new or different technologies, improve my personal skills, and gain new cross-cultural skills. I wanted to go to the US also because I had already lived and studied there, so it was a place I knew, and also because the US is usually the first option of every international student. In the last 30 years, the US has tried to attract international students, also making increasing the number of scholarship, making their visa requirements easier. But also, I think that they try to make college, American college, more appealing through merchandises and movies. So now, yeah, although everything has been made more easier, according to a study by Fisher, bureaucracy and visa policies are still a barrier. So now I'm going to tell you my personal experience. During my PhD, I started to work on an ambition project regarding the moral reasoning in cognitive science. The project also included an experiment that involved both American and the European subject in order to make a comparison. So I left my country to find a professor interested in the project and that who could sponsor me. Later, my application as scholar was accepted, and the professor who kindly decided to sponsor me declared that she was looking forward to working with such talented students, given my impressive resume. We decided also to write an agreement with explicit expectations and also to add clarity to the contract. Unfortunately, they told me I had to wait almost 1 year before beginning because of the extended bureaucratic procedure. Then a few days before my departure, the professor sent me a bleak email saying that she could not sponsor me any longer. I never heard from her again, and I have never been able to find another professor. Even though she had already started the last final important document, no one in her department agreed to substitute for her, even temporarily, or to complete the paperwork. So after to have searched in the same school of department another professor, another things I did is that to ask to write to a formal letter to the dean of this school and the institution. So the director of my school did so, but we never received an answer. So I extended my search to institutions and labs based in other American states that could support my research. I carefully chose only those who were working or had worked recently on projects similar to mine, of course, and I contacted in totally around 40 labs or professors. And then I also sent reminders. Although the situation was delicate, their feedback most of the time was disconcerting and unsympathetic. They reply, if they did so, because most of that never replied me, they replied that they didn't have time for supervising and meeting me even once per month. or that they didn't want to give extra work to their administration office. Almost no one apologized for the rejection, gave more detailed explanations, tried to be helpful, even suggesting me another name, another academic member, and so on. So some consideration. What I'm telling you happened some years ago during Trump administration. We have seen already about the Muslim ban and other policies. International students were target of violence and discrimination based on their race, religion, ethnicity, and national origin. I wonder if the change of mind from the institution or the lack of answer from the other professors may have occurred because of my surname origin that is not typically Anglo-Saxon or European. My question was at one point, if I had instead a typical Italian or French German name, would they have behaved or answered me differently? Another thing I noticed is a lack of support for no-degree students. I wasn't looking for a sponsorization for a degree program, but I supposed to be just a visiting scholar. So the institution that first accepted my application was disorganized and confused about the procedure, even though it was one of the biggest in the country and had this history of hosting visiting students. I was supposed to audit classes. I had to pay personally my visa tuitions that were over $1,000. My medical health insurance fees over $200 per month, and other administrative fees without any contribution from the hosting school. So I don't understand why it took over 1 year to accept me. Furthermore, my application was successfully accepted. I think the university should have found a substitute for the professor that renounced to sponsor me, because if I had been accepted as a potential student, what they would have done if I had already my visa or I had already left my country? Would they have left me alone without assistance? What would have happened? Finally, I believe that every agreement should be respected, but this American school has not lost only the possibility to host a talented student and to collaborate on an important international project they were interested in, but it has also lost the opportunity to give to their students and academic members an experience of cultural exchange and also to come in my country. So the issues in summary were that I met is that I met professor and academic administration staff not collaborative. They seemed to be not interested in cultural exchange, and this situation provoked in me strong feeling of sadness, anxiety, stress, and frustration for months, because I was losing my doctorate student status and scholarship. A nice word or advice would have made a difference for me, and I would have felt less alone. It's also obvious to say that being discriminated because of gender, religion, race, or cultural background should not occur. Furthermore, bureaucratic procedure was too long and burdensome. Some professors told me they didn't want to sponsor just because of this reason, because they knew it was very hard. And finally, many professors didn't know about their role in the process. They asked me about the sponsorization. They asked me what to do to obtain this student visa and so on. So what can be done in conclusion? I believe that the faculty members should attend seminars or workshops in order to gain more information about the process and also about the PhD programs that are abroad, because they took for granted, for example, that I could ask for an extension, but this cannot be done in my country. Also, I believe that application bureaucracy should be easier and faster. And because if, for example, my PhD program lasts 3 years and I need 1 entire year only to obtain this application, to obtain the visa? When should I start this bureaucracy path? Finally, I believe that instead of asking only one supervisor, students should be able to select two mentors, and also I think that that should be a mediator between the hosting and the whole school, because I really had to do this role, and it wasn't my role to do that. So thank you very much for your attention. If you want to contact me, this is my email address. But anyway, I have to say that at the end, I ended my PhD. Unfortunately, I had to do it by myself, alone, without supervising. And this really, well, it was a problem anyway for my thesis and for my defense. So I cannot be competitive, had other doctoral students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We now have 5 minutes on the clock for questions and answers. Would one of our judges like to start, or anyone? Forgive me, I'm troubleshooting someone real quick.
Okay, I have a question again. Thank you, Margherita, for your presentation, and I'm really sorry to hear about your experience. It sounds very upsetting. My question is related to, the faculty who did respond to your messages. I'm wondering, what did you hear from them in terms of why do faculty respond or do not respond to particular students? Were they able to shed any light on their own understanding about this matter?
No, because unfortunately, as I said, most of them never answer me back, even if I sent some reminders. And in my emails, there was my resume, a brief presentation of my project, and I also explained my situation. I was really losing my scholarship and my doctoral status, and I had later to change everything, my project, my research. I just went to US alone, collecting some data, but of course this wasn't the best for my education. I started PhD also in order to deepen my knowledge, to learn more, to do more. And instead, I had to do everything by myself, like a normal graduate, undergraduate student, like. I'm not very satisfied with my final job, unfortunately, but there was also the pandemic later. So anyway, I did my best, and I'm sorry that American, this professor that always say like, you are welcome, this is the land where your dreams can come true. I wasn't able to do that, and this unfortunately I will pay the consequences of this probably also during the next year of my academic career, because I'm not competitive for postdoc, for example.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much. We have 2 minutes left on the clock, family. Do we have any other questions? Thank you so much to our speaker. We are now going to go to our third speaker today. So we will be welcoming back, thank you for the tech situation to be figured out, Shihua, Brazill from Montana State University, presenting international doctoral student experiences in higher education, reconceptualizing cross-cultural socialization through a strength-based perspective. And we now have 10 minutes on the clock.
Okay, thank you. If you can see my gleam, just give me a smile face, the scream. Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. And my presentation today is titled Narrative Inquiry into Chinese International Doctorate Students' Journey, a Strengths-Based Perspective. I am graduating in the next couple of months. I'm doing a 3-article dissertation. So this is one of my 3 articles. And after the 10 minutes, I'm happy to share more about the other 2 articles. But I wanted to introduce myself. So I'm also an instructor for multicultural education, and in my professional role, I also work as an instructional designer. So this is one of the presentation that really speak to my heart, like everything that I do in my life. It really emphasizes that strength-based perspective. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So I often got this question from many people, especially living in Montana. So where do you come from and who you are, right? So for me, it's more than a microaggression because I actually self-identify as a Chinese American woman. So when people ask me where you are from, and it's actually assuming that I'm not a foreigner, right? And my belonging is conditioned. And so when I start this project, studying Chinese international doctorate students' journey, I think about them as a very vulnerable population. And I feel responsible to advocate for many international students, but particularly because my positionality, I originally was born in China. I was identified as someone who really valued the Chinese culture and how the student can use those cultural elements as strengths to be successful in their socialization journey. So that's why I started this research. And then you see another picture, right? I'm not a virus. So given the political environment as a scholar, I feel strongly responsible for people in this community. And when I first collecting data, it was 2019 for this article. So one of my friends come into the office and she's on the call today, Catherine. She's like, did you read the newsletter from Duke University? Like the professor, Dr. Neely, is forcing all the Chinese students not to speak Chinese in the school building. And I was like, holy cow, like, did she even know what the language means for this student? And so that literally take me down to this project, like I need to do something. So because asking someone not to speak their language is a very deficit perspective. So being bilingual or multilingual is a strength that students are able to access diverse content, given, in my professional role, I work with faculty of color, graduate students of color. I know how important the language, native language is, because it provided a second lens, a different perspective. So this is my theoretical framework. So now you know the introduction of why I do this. Why is this important for people in my community? So Taro Yao is a critical race theory scholar, and many of you probably know her. So I decided to, take a look at the community cultural wealth framework, because she used for Chicano, Latino, Latinx students. And I was like, how does this apply for international students, especially this article, one of my 3 articles, is on Chinese international doctorate students. How does it apply? So I look at element of this, you also call it cultural capital. And I was like, okay, I will use this for my narrative inquiry and talk to this student about how they rely on this different capital as strengths to be successful. So definition of some of the technical terms, right? When I mention cultural capital, I refer to the 6 capital, as Taro also described: aspirational, linguistic, familial, social, navigational, and resistance. When I say strength-based perspective, my scholarly work comes from Celibate. So he is a social worker, and he defines strength-based as the quality, the strengths that individual bring to different relationships. So in this case, I theorize cultural capital as a form of strength in my own research. And this is the visual diagram that you can just take a glance of my methodology. So my research question, as a narrative inquirer, I think about myself as someone who do the research, weight the participant and not just own them. So I'm interested in how they tell their story and to retell those narratives, and then applying the strength-based framework to look at how they leverage their strengths. So then they're able to be successful in their professional identity and their scholarly journey as a doctorate student. So I use narrative inquiry and multiple data collection strategies, interview, repeating follow-up interview, and artifacts. So the artifacts are my favorite part of this project. And then I use a snowball technique to recruit the participants. So in this slide, you can specifically see I choose DUI participant as a cultural attuned decision. So when I collected the data, the study site only has 4 Chinese international doctorate students. Yes, I mean 4, not many, there's 4. But then 4 is the unluckiest number in Chinese culture. And one of the students is from Taiwan. So he specifically said, I might not be the best person for this project because I really share different cultural value and political belief than mainland Chinese students. So that's why you see DUI. So DUI actually means a cloud. And when I talked to my participants, they were very happy about my decision. So this project is actually a co-constructed process with my participants. I make sure they know my research question. I make sure they know the framework I use. I make sure they know every decision I made throughout the project and that I'm being culturally attuned as an insider to this project. But then also I feel like I'm also identified as an outsider because I'm not international student. So to give you a brief kind of like glance of how I collect this data, right? So narrative inquiry, sometimes you can even have one participant because it requires a long-term relationship. So I spent 2 years collecting data and do multiple interviews. So the total hours among all the 3 participants, about 15 hours. And like I said earlier, I did follow-up interview and artifacts, right? Because it really allows you to collect that in-depth data. So this is why I decided to use narrative inquiry and not other research methodology. So to now tell you something about my finding. And so the first data set is the artifact, right? I want to give you a couple examples about these artifacts, right? So the first one is a Chinese teapot. So this participant bring a Chinese teapot as how she rely on her cultural strengths. So she gave me this metaphor, like bit like water. And then I remember she bring the artifact and then she's like, shall we make some tea before we get started? And so that was a very interesting conversation between us. And she talked about how when she feels stressed out, and disappointed, she drink tea. And then when she published an article, for example, was successful, she drink tea to celebrate that. So I really resonate with that, you know, as a person who really rely on my personal cultural strengths and social strengths, like to believe that we can challenge the dominant narrative that individual can be successful. Thank you. And they don't have to give up their identity. And then the second artifact, as an example, is another student. She bring some Sichuan peppercorn. So she was like, I really want to say that my strengths actually come from making Chinese food with American colleagues and my faculty that helps me develop those kind of relationships. So when I first come here, I was trying to be an American. So I will cook American food. And then after a while, I think out, they really just want me to be myself. So that was funny. And so after the interview, we actually cooked some Chinese food together. Okay, and then she didn't follow instruction. So she bring 2 artifacts instead of 1. So she took this one out of her wallet. She said, I want to show you this $1 bill. I think it's some sort of yuanfen. So yuanfen is a Chinese concept. It's a concept of fate. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Thank you. I will have 1 minute left. I'm supposed to be here because I got this gift when I was younger as a child. So I carried this. And then now I'm here as a doctorate student. So this is one data set, right? So the second data set is the story that they told me. So I didn't have time to share all this, but I want to highlight number 3 here on the highlight. Can you see the 3? So you also talk about the 6 capital, and in her research, right, they're isolated capital. But in my study, it find that these capital are overlapped. So for example, social and linguistic has an overlap. So when students are speaking Chinese, go back to the case study, they're really building the community and the social bonding. They're just not speaking their language for the sake of speaking their language, right? So they really creating a community. So to conclude, this study, the intellectual merit is that student socialization is not an essentialist view of a homogeneous school. Chinese international student, Asian student, they have different experience. So what do? That we need to really tell individual story. And there is a need for methodology like this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. We have 5 minutes on the clock now for questions and answers. Who would like to start us off?
Prepare for my defense. Everybody asks very difficult questions. My community member is on this call, so I have a few ways. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, thank you so much for this presentation. Very interesting, and I'm so curious about how you mobilize narrative inquiry. So since you didn't get a chance to talk about the vignettes, could you take, a few seconds to elaborate on what vignettes came about, and also the importance of narrative inquiry for your particular presentation? Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I talk a little bit about the overlap of those capital, right? And so I'm gonna maybe share a little bit about one example of the vignette. So she's a 39 years old woman, and she comes from China to pursue her doctoral study. She's the one with the teapot, and she also has a kid. So in her vignette, she talked about the importance of linguistics, right? So for her to have a baby here and learning how to teach that baby English, and herself is also trying to navigate this doctorate journey. And it's interesting that she didn't think about her Chinese as kind of like this deficit model, but she think about, okay, the process of teaching her kids Chinese and English, and then herself having to navigate the academic English. But then she talked about kind of like when she speak Chinese to the Chinese parents, right? One of the story, the overlap between linguistic and social, is that she's creating her own community. So in that case, like whenever she speak Chinese, she feel home, like it was like a home away from home, that she have this community. Now she can rely on other Chinese parents also speak Chinese, and their kids are also learning 2 languages. And then she talked about her familiar capital as strengths, like so her husband support her as a mentor and also financially. Her husband is doing a PhD in China. And then she also talked about kind of like, the importance of relationship with her advisor, that she wouldn't come to this, Western state without knowing anybody, but she previously kind of like have a contact with her advisor that through some of her family relative, and that makes her feel much more comfortable to be herself. And so I think the implication is when we're recruiting international students like this, we need to make sure students feel supportive, that they feel like they're being validated, their culture are being heard, that someone is here to listen to their story. And so one more example about this narrative inquiry and also the vignette that I told is she also talked about navigational and resistance. And it's interesting that when she talked about even, during COVID, some of the challenge of racism and discrimination. So her navigational resistance is she decided she's, as an international student, she's not able to change in a system level. So she continued to kind of like challenge herself to, sometimes to think outside the box, and then think about, what the existing literature say, and then what she want to do in her own research. So she has a different way of navigation of the political environment. And I remember she saying sometimes, the best thing is just to drink the pot of tea when you're so stressed out about all this hostile environment, and just really to focus on the important aspect of her life. So she talked about how important familial capital is to her, especially having a new baby. So that was one of the vignettes. Does that answer your question?
We have a minute left. Does anyone have any other questions?
I'm also happy to share my research with anyone up to this. So as I say, this is one of my Dewey article dissertation. So a couple of them has been published, and then I can share those research with you so you can read more about the story, and then we can meet afterwards to follow up as well. I'm so glad to connect with everybody today, and I welcome your friendships and follow-up questions.
Thank you so much, family. We're going to go ahead and go to our next speaker. At this moment, we are welcoming just one last call, Emmanuel. We do not have an Emmanuel here, correct?
I don't see Manuel here. I'm sorry. Maybe
That's okay. No worries. We're just trying one last time. Our next speaker is Sara Domínguez-Lloria from the University of Vigo in Spain. Her paper is entitled Importance of Cultural and Artistic Competence for Human Development. You have the stage as well as 10 minutes. Do you have the ability to share?
Yes.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Many thanks to college for their presentations that are of a real interest to the scientific community. My name is Sara Domínguez-Lloria. I am a professor in the Department of Special Didactics at the University of Vigo. And next, I will present the novice researchers who are working with us based on cultural and artistic competence. And the first presentation will be made by Iago Lariño. He's a musician and professor at the Professional Conservatory of Music of Vigo. He's currently working on his doctoral thesis titled Assessment of Skills, Identifying Musical Talent. Please, Iago, you present, please. Can you present?
Yes.
Iago, do you need permission?
I don't think so. Yet. It works, or? Could you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I will start. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here at the STAR 2021 Global Conference, and also for the opportunity of sharing with all of you my research plan. My doctoral thesis title is Assessment of Skills, Identifying Musical Talent. This thesis is based on my personal experience as a teacher. The initial stage of musical education is enormously important for the formative development of students. Over time, I have noticed that the criteria for the selection of talent do not manage to select the student with the greatest musical abilities. The instrumental initiation is a crucial moment for the career of any future performer. And moreover, this stage is the point of greatest evolution. The entrance exam for the elementary music education in Spain are the gateway for all students to study music. This test allows to the educational centers to select the students based on criteria that aim to measure the talent of future students. The definition of talent is still under debate among researchers in the field. Some authors consider musical talent as an ability. Others define it as a demonstration of systematically developed abilities to play a musical instrument and distinguish between gift and talent. Gift is gradually transformed into a systematically developed abilities and talents within a specific field of activity. In order to study what musical talent is, we will carry out a systematic review to search the scientific evidence on this construct. We will also study the existing instruments for detecting and assessing musical talent at an early age. In the second part of the thesis, we will study the entrance examinations in the music conservatory in Spain. In Spain, the current legislation leaves the organization of elementary music education in the hands of the educational administration, and the great majority of the autonomous communities establish an entrance exams for admission. These tests are an important screening process for students interested in beginning their musical training and, in addition, determine the choice of instrument for the future performers. Case studies, it will be in Spain, and we will analyze of the legislation of entrance examinations to elementary music education throughout Spain. It means 17 autonomous communities and 2 autonomous cities. and conducting a focus group interviews and questionnaires with elementary education coordinators and teachers involved in this test to find out their experience, praxis, and opinion regarding early access test. The third part of this thesis will consist on carrying out a prospective study through an instrument that establishes criteria for the evaluation of musical talent and skills that meet the needs of the entrance exam for elementary music education. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights in its 26th article let us know how important education is for the people. The first part said everyone has the right of education. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and freedoms. And the third part of this article said parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. The aim of this doctoral thesis will be analyze and assess the skills that identify early music talent. Specific objectives will be analyze the legislation of the autonomous communities with regard to elementary music teaching, analyze the structure of the entrance exams to elementary music education, know the scientific evidence about the instruments that measure early musical skills, carry out a prospective evaluation of the entrance examination to elementary music teaching, learn about the experience and opinion of the teaching staff when establishing criteria for the evaluation of entrance examinations. The methodology that we will follow will be interpretative approach and mixed methodology. The qualitative methods will be content analysis, focus group, discussion, and interviews. And the quantitative method will be questionnaires. And this doctoral thesis will be organized as a compendium of publications. The instruments we will use will be evidence-based on meta-analysis of music skills following Prisma 2020 and legislative texts. The media, once the data has been collected and analysis, will be made of the data obtained at statistical level in order to draw conclusions according to the variables of the questionnaire for the writing of the thesis. Media research will be a library of the University of Jaén and Central Library of Campus de Pontevedra, the Vigo University. The technological research will be specific research software, common software in office suites, bibliographic database, it means Scopus and Web of Science, and Atlas T and ISPSS. The time planning, the first season will be October 2021, determination of research plan from November to January 2022, search for instruments for the assessment of musical talent, from February to April 2022, systematic review on musical talent, from May to July 2022, drafting the first article on musical talent. The second season will be September to December 2022, legislative study of the entrance examination to elementary music education. From January to February 2023, drafting the interview and questionnaire. The next steps will be focus group interviews and questionnaire, and this season will finish with analysis of the entrance exams. And the last seasons will start with drafting second article on legislation and access test in Spain, and then from January to March 2024, we will write a prospective drafting, and for finish from April to July 2024, the final drafting of the thesis. Thank you very much for your attention. This is my email. If you need contact or anything, I will be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iago. The second presentation will be made by Maria Domínguez. Her work is fundamentally articulated around contemporary music. She's a pianist, performance, and teacher in different educational centers of the Galician Autonomous Community, and is currently carrying out her doctorate studies with a work that she's entitled Curricular Treatment of Contemporary Music in Formal Teachings. Thank you very much, Maria.
Hello, good afternoon.
Sorry, just one moment, family. So just to get this correct, because this is a competition and we're scoring each participant. So I actually had Sarah Domínguez as the participant, but it looks like that is incorrect. And the two participants who are actually presenting, I want to make sure that I get that correct, are actually Iago Lorino. And so now, just for our judges, so now we have two, instead of the entry Sarah, we're going to be replacing that with Iago Lorino, who just presented. Okay. And now we're going to be having a second presenter, Maria Domínguez.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then is there anyone else under this group, or is it just those two?
Yes, and Mario Diz.
And I'm sorry, the third one is?
Mario Diz.
Mario.
Yes.
Mario. Okay, is Mario here?
Yes. He have some problem with the connection.
Okay, so just so we know, judges, then we have Iago in this three. We have Iago, then we have Maria, and then we'll have Mario. As far as scoring.
Do we need to have 3 sets of scoring, or what are we?
I would score them separately, because how would you give them a group score? I would assume that they would now be considered separate entries. Just to score it fairly, considering each presentation is unique unto themselves.
Excuse me, I also have to present my presentation.
Yes, we do. We do. Thank you. My apologies, family. We did not know that this was a group of students presenting. So we do have 2 additional contestants today. So we do apologize for that. But bear with us. We're going to go ahead and get started with the second presentation, Maria, at this time. Thank you. You have 10 minutes on the clock.
Thank you.
One question, I cannot share the screen. Maybe there is a problem with it.
Okay, no worries. That is because we need to, hold on one moment. Let me get us back to our host. Okay, while I am, Mario, I'm assuming you do not also have, wait, he's not here, right? Okay, let me go to the next speaker who has already permission while I troubleshoot this. So, Gauri, or I'm gonna kill this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Thank you so much. You will be the next presenter while we go ahead and troubleshoot. You have 10 minutes on the clock. Thank you so much. And excuse me, family, let me go ahead and get started. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Gauri Khanna. I am still at the coursework stage of my PhD. I am honored to present the abstract of my proposed research at such an early stage of my PhD journey. So if I ask how to judge the quality of a nation, quality of life which exists in a nation, immediately the GDP, that is gross domestic product, it comes as an ideal measurement into our mind. But using gross domestic product as a measurement for the quality of life in a nation is problematic itself. Because in a nation like India, where the grave inequalities persist despite the economic growth that India has experienced since the independence, so talking about the parallel existence of inequalities and the economic growth, let me introduce you to the Indian odd, where the number of women who are attaining higher education degrees are actually not joining the workforce after completing their degrees. So a negative relationship between women's education and their workforce participation is observed. So the cause of this intense relationship remains a mystery, and India's deviation from the usual norm, it requires to be investigated, and this phenomenon requires much more research attention than it has actually been given. So with this figure here, I would like to emphasize on the seriousness of the Indian odd. The figure illustrates a comparison between the female labor force participation on the left-hand side and the female higher education rates since 1990 to 2019 in India. And the female labor force participation was 29% in 1990, which has sharply declined to 20.5% in 2019, despite the economic growth and women's rising education in India. So on the other hand, the participation of women in higher education we see has increased from 33% to 49% in 2019, which illustrates an increase of 16%. But what is more shocking here is that while in 2017, India was one of the fastest growing economies by consistently maintaining the growth rates above 7%, the same year, India's female labor force participation rates fell to the lowest level since independence, and it was at 20.3%. And this is how much serious this issue is. So the benefits of education in India are different for men and women. And I will be exploring the Indian odd in my thesis by using the human capabilities theoretical lens. And I'll explain the human capabilities approach in the most basic terms possible right now. So the theory has its origin in the work of Sir Amartya Sen, exemplified in the published work of Inequality Re-examined and Development of Freedom. So as per the theory, the benefits of economic growth are not enjoyed by all citizens because its distribution is disproportionate. So therefore, a more useful method to assess a nation's development is by looking at the capabilities of its citizens. So by the capabilities here, he refers to what people can actually do and be, and what the real opportunities are actually available to them. So along with the abilities, the freedom, or the opportunities that are made possible through a combination of personal abilities, along with the political, social, and economical environment around its citizens. So the totality of opportunities for educated women in India is actually affected by her political, social, and economic situation, along with her capabilities as a degree holder. So here it seems that economic growth has provided opportunities for the development of personal capabilities, as today Indian women has access to number of institutions that they have never had in the history, but seems to be denied the opportunity to function in accordance with those capabilities as a degree holder. Here I borrow from the human capabilities approach to explore in my thesis whether women in India are actually provided with the real opportunities to flourish the capabilities that they have. So since I already mentioned that I'm at the coursework stage of my PhD, this is a very tentative methodology for my proposed research. I will be using a mixed method, taking from the qualitative and the quantitative methods to provide an empirical evidence and not merely drawing inferences from the existing data and surveys. And for conducting the qualitative ethnography method, the study will include a non-probability purposive sampling technique. And the participants of the study will be recruited through a purposive and the snowball sampling, and would also consist of two focus groups. First group includes the postgraduate women who are currently employed in formal sectors within the age group of 25 to 35. And the other focus group includes postgraduate women who are unemployed within the same age group, who hold the postgraduate degrees as well. So the geographical region of Delhi NCR, which is also the capital of India, has been chosen to conduct the study where the enrollment of women in post-graduation courses is actually higher than men. But when we see their labor force participation, it is much, much lower than men. So after highlighting the seriousness of the issue and what the issue actually is, I would like to question that where are the educated women actually going and what are they doing? These questions require deeper probing and inquiry. So the existing literature has offered us following determinants. So for better understanding of these possible reasons which are identified in the literature, I have divided it into the economic and the socio-cultural determinants. So beginning with the key socio-cultural determinants, first is the marriage market. That is, the women who are well educated, they have better marriage returns. That is, they are able to get married into the houses which have high household income, and also educated men. And the other determinant, which is identified in the literature, is the household income. The economic growth has been found to have a negative impact on women's workforce participation in India. And the motherhood as childcare responsibilities are found to be associated with women, no matter whether they are a housewife or a worker. Motherhood is associated with women. So let's move on to the economic hurdles really quick. So the economic hurdles which are identified in the literature are the lack of appropriate jobs for educated women, gender-based occupational segregation, like overrepresentation of women in the teaching job, wage gaps, the rural-urban divide, and the caste system, which actually differentiates Indian women from the women from the rest of the world, and also differentiates their barriers and experiences when it comes to their labor force participation decision. So I would leave you with this figure to actually reflect upon the negative correlation between women's education and their labor force participation, which exists in India. So in my PhD thesis, I will explore in intensive research about the puzzle by gathering the pieces of this puzzle that have been identified in the existing literature, along with providing empirical answers that will be presented through my research. So the hypothesis of my research is based on the literature review which I have done, and I wish to begin my research from the review of literature. And women in India are actually different from the global south, from where the labor supply theories actually come from. So women's participation have always remained as a complicated matter, dependent on variety of characteristics such as caste, class, poverty, and geographical location. The Indian results from the findings of my thesis will offer opportunity to expand the limited background, and it will also bridge the gap in existing literature and emphasize an overlooked empirical studies from India on the issue. A recognition of struggle of women to join or remain in workforce is required to be at the center of research at this time. And I cannot emphasize it enough. As a last note, I cannot emphasize it enough that we are not doing enough to make it easy for women in the workforce. Thank you so much for your attention throughout the presentation. I look forward to the comments and suggestions from all of you, because I feel very honored to be here with the scholars at such an early stage of my PhD. I really look forward to the feedbacks and the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We have 5 minutes now for questions, family. Who would like to get us started?
Any feedback? Anything which I can include in my future research?
Just a question about comparing the caste system. Like, what really stuck out to me during your presentation was talking about how that is unlike any other system in the world. And I know, due to colonization, due to slavery, during other historic eras and policies and ideologies, how do you think, how do you start the movement against that, right? I mean, when I'm an indigenous person, where we still fight the battle for decolonization within the context of white supremacy and US empire. How do you do that? How do you fight back within the historic, within the tradition? And where do you think this work will be going in the future?
So the fight against caste system began much before we were given independence. So here in India, we all have different surnames and we have caste associated with it. So earlier, India was actually plagued with untouchability, but it's not the case now. But what I was referring in my presentation was the case for the educated women, how caste is affecting the educated women to join the workforce participation. So what here the idea is, in the modern India, people want their daughter-in-laws or daughters to be educated, to present themselves as very liberal and very open to education and very fast forward, moving along with the modern culture and the globalization. But when it comes to their daughter-in-laws or their daughters using their education and getting a job, doing something for themselves, getting economically independent, and opening horizons in career for them. So when it comes to that, the high caste families, especially it has been found in the literature as well, that the high caste families do not find it appropriate for the daughter or the daughter-in-law of the house to go out to work for little amount of money. They say that we do not need your economic share. It's okay, we are already wealthy. We don't need you to go out of the house and work. That's not the women of the house do. So yeah, that is what I was referring to when I referred to caste in my presentation. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. We have 2 minutes left, family. Do we have any other questions?
It's not a, can I? Hello?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm audible?
Yes.
Gauri, it's a great presentation, and it's not a question. It's like my experience, which I faced in the same topic you choose. It's like I completed my undergraduate, and then after that I got married, and then after my marriage, like I got my postgraduate MBA, and it is completely my depends upon my husband. His wish and everything. So it's like not everything in India depends upon the mother-in-law. It's like when the partner is like understanding everything, then it will be a easy go. So this is like I want to share my experience, and I'm working in OP Jindal Global University in international office. Like I'm staying alone here, and my family, my husband and kid is in my hometown. So this is like my husband is like feeling like I want to be very independent in my career and other future things. So that's the reason I'm staying here and then working for my this thing. And I'm doing my PhD also in business school. So it is like a great pleasure to meet you all. And it's like not a question or anything. It's like just I want to share my experience. It's related to
Thank you so much. I will definitely be contacting you during my data collection. Please be up for that.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
One last question, Dr. Desai.
Thank you. I was thinking of posting it in the chat in case we run out of time, but appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gauri. It is interesting learning about your study, and I like the conceptual foundation and what you propose. My question is more of an invitation to share more information about your own positionality as a researcher within this study. How do you reflect on that, and any initial thoughts that you have on that? That's it. And if you don't have time, that's okay. That's just a question that I had in mind.
So the idea of this research actually is associated with my personal experience. So the family from which I come from, I see so many like my sister-in-laws or my elder sisters. One of my sisters is actually a PhD, and she dropped her career. She was working at a central university. She dropped it the moment she was married in a high income household. And that family, before getting married, they said that we agree to this marriage only if she doesn't go to work, because she's not required to be economically independent, because we are wealthy enough. So that is the moment when it clicked to me. I was like, I started reading about it, and when I saw the data, I was shook. I according to me, what is required here is not increasing the number of women in the workforce. It is up to them. They might not feel. There's echo. I think. Hello. Yeah, so they might not want to work on their own will, but when the political, social, and economical environment affects them and makes them think about their position as a working woman, that is actually alarming. And that's why I took up this topic and I wanted to explore it more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the best for your study. More power to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, family. We had another amazing presentation, and we will be going on to our next speaker. We are welcoming, and I do apologize, Bhuvaneshwari M from OB Jindal Global University in India. The title of the presentation today is Short-Term Study Abroad Programs in India, Management and COVID-19 Disruption. You now have 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, thank you. Like I'm Bhuvaneshwari from OP Jindal Global University. As I said, I'm a doctoral student. Like in the early stage, like it's like I completed my coursework, but in just now I started with my proposal and everything, because earlier my topic was like student motivation for my this short-term study abroad program. But in between the COVID happened, nothing happened for this past 2 years. So there was a confusion how to go ahead. So then I changed my topic. So it's like a short presentation only, but I like to share with you my presentation. It's like I can't share my screen.
Okay, hold on, give us one moment. I believe Sharif is on it.
Can you view my screen?
Yes, we are seeing you.
Yeah, thank you. So my topic will be the short-term study abroad program and its management and COVID-19 disruption. Like first, I want to take it what is internationalization about the education? Like it is like institutional linkages and the partnerships, collaboration, and the student and faculty mobility. It's like it has a different facets like semester exchange, study abroad program, short-term study abroad program, dual degree, pathways. These are like some of its facets. And what is the use of this, these kind of internationalization or the programs? It's like it will increase the cultural sensitivity between the students, and it will improve the confidence of our students. And it is like give the understanding of the foreign country and the language, and about it will develop their own confidence level also. Like this is the picture I want to show to you about the Indian students, like how their study abroad interest is growing. So these are the things. Now it's got cancelled because of, or as of now we can say it is on a hold because of the COVID situations. So it once the COVID situation is like everything is fine, might be it will be again restart the programs, or the study abroad program will be starting. But what is the thing is like how it will be like how the students are interested. Like
excuse me, we're only seeing your email, not the PowerPoint. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I apologize, family. I did not catch that.
Sorry.
We could see your screen. We were just looking at your email and not the PowerPoint.
Okay. Can you see now?
We can't see anything right now. Did you click on the share screen button, the green one again?
Yeah, 1 second.
Now we can see it. We see your PowerPoint.
So this picture is like viewable now.
Right now we see reason for choosing.
Yeah, this is the reason I choose this topic, because it's like a currently all the students are interested to go abroad, like to gain some experience, to learn language, and to to get it, making friends and learn the new language, and getting attached with the other culture, understanding the new culture, everything. So the reason I'm choosing the short-term study abroad program is like we can see in one of the university I'm taken here, the data. It's like the left side is the short-term study abroad program history. It's like around from the year, every year it is the numbers are increasing. It's like total 810, the number of the students till now. And the semester exchange, for example, I showed a difference between how the students are interested in short-term study abroad program. Comparative to semester exchange, students are more interested in short-term study abroad program, because this it's like not all the students can go for a full-time program, like a kind of dual degree or a semester exchange, because it is like very much expensive. So this the reason might be for the short-term study abroad program, and within it will be like 2 to 3 or 4 weeks. It depends upon the program, how the host university is designing the program. And now it is like a tailor-made programs also available, depends upon the students' interest and the background of their studies, everything. So these kind of the thing, it is more attractive to the students. So like everything was going smooth till 2020 till March. And the reason is like as I already said, the reason for the short-term study abroad program. It's like a culturally the students want to have more knowledge, and it will be it's the developing skills also for them, because in the global they want to work in the global environment, means they need to understand for their skills. They want to develop their skills. So impact, this is the impact of the higher education and then the student mobility. The mobility got cancelled, and the programs got shut down, and the colleges got shut down due to COVID-19. So this might be the future, like it will be a hybrid study, or all the study abroad program, it will be a hybrid opportunity to the students, or else it will be like an online study, or like an internship or anything, whichever they want to go. It will be like a hybrid model or either online model. So this is the trend is going on now. So what is the solution? Everything has happened. What is the solution, how it will go in the future, or what can be done through my research to get it? Because anyway, it's like not the COVID situation is, it will be, this is the first time like overall the world got affected by these kind of virus. So it will be in the future, it will be in more like now itself we can see second wave, third wave of Omicron, and other things are getting come into the thing. So I'm choosing McKinsey 7S framework for the like how it will be to get it the answer for this impact. So why this 7S framework? It is like a strategic model which can be used for the organization for the performance to enhance the performance, or Also, it is a new strategy which can be followed in every organization, which will be essential and in significant factors. So this, I'm concluding here, like I have to connect my framework with my studies. So I'm in this level. So I'm very much interested and to hear from you, like any suggestions or any other feedback or something, or any questions, like I'm welcome. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes on the clock for questions now. Who would like to get us started? I guess my general question would be, how do you think that your research is going to be fitting in now? Going forward, what do you hope to achieve by this? I'm always telling people we're activists in real life, we're scholar activists, we're changing worlds. How do you see your research really affecting people's lives in the future?
Now all the universities are in the online mode, or in India particularly. I'm connecting only with India. Like everywhere, it's like an online mode or in a hybrid model is following. What can be more effective to enhance this program? So this will be like my research area, like how this my framework will be connected to the enhance the program, or how the future can be done. Because like as of now, we are seeing the practical thing of the students studying everything in the online, but whether they are like getting the proper information or proper the understanding, I don't know, it's a big question mark. So might be something we should do for I want to do with my research, for a proper channel of the communication to the students, which will be enhancing more in their studies.
Thank you so much. We have 2 minutes left. Does anyone else have another question before we move on?
I do. Thank you for your presentation. Have you, you were talking about enhancing and looking at it from a programmatic level, but are you also looking at maybe connecting with other Indian institutions and programs at other Indian institutions across to make connections and see what they're doing in those regards?
I'm I'm like to choose like around 4 to 5 institutions in India for the data collections. Like still I not yet started anything, just in my stage of proposal. So I have to discuss and then have to do some literature reviews on that, and then I will be planning according to that. As of now, I am planning some private institutions, which will be like started in the last decade, which are more interested in the internationalization. Like our university are very much interested in the internationalization. So I'll be choosing around 4 to 5 universities, which will be like giving importance to the internationalization. So that will be giving my research will be enhancing this research studies.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, family. We are going to go ahead and we have 2 more speakers to finish today. Thank you so much for your patience. Mario is going to have the floor, and then our last speaker today will be Emmanuel. Mario, you now have 10 minutes, and then you'll have 5 minutes for question and answer.
Thank you. Hello to all of you. I share my presentation. I will share. Well,
and we can see it.
Can you listen to me very well? Yes?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I am a doctoral student for research plan of the Universidad of Vigo in north of Spain, in Galicia. I present my doctoral thesis. What is the origin of my doctoral thesis? Sorry, my professional experience. For my professional experience, I am the university orchestra conductor, and I conducted this formation, this group since 2010. And cultural and artistic competence has been shown to be a basic capacity for the human development of the individual within the cultural and artistic competence. The disciplines that promote its development in a more specific way are plastic arts. Performing arts and music also allows human beings to deepen in communicative and expressive phases that allow an integral development of the human being. Definition of cultural and artistic competence. We can define cultural and artistic competence as the set of skills that allow obtaining the ability to appreciate and enjoy art and other cultural manifestations, as well as those related to the use of some resources of artistic expressions to make one's own creations. Well, creative dominance, basic knowledge of different cultural and artistic manifestations, application of divergent thinking and collaborative work skills, open, respectful and critical attitude towards the diversity of artistic and cultural expressions, desire and willingness to cultivate one's own aesthetic and creative capacity, and interest in participating in cultural life and in contributing to the preservation of the cultural and artistic heritage, both of their own community and of other communities. In November 2019, 3.2 million young Europeans were unemployed. However, 14% of European Union employers routinely report that they have difficulty finding people with skills needed for growth and innovation, continuously highlighting that applicants of their lack across computing skills. Well, universities undoubtedly have a great historical tradition in the preparation of excellence in vertical knowledge. However, it is necessary to improve their offerings and find ways to prepare university students in the acquisitions of transversal skills that allow them to be employable, successful in social and civic life, as well as innovate, competitive, and socially equitable. Music is also part of the European cultural heritage that the main stakeholders of the European Union want to preserve while promoting the cultural diversity of the territory. Culture and music undoubtedly play a fundamental role in bridging cultural and socio and economic gaps and contributing to a more inclusive society. More and more higher education institutions, although in Spain it's a more recent phenomenon, propose non-formal and informal activities in the field of music through orchestra and choirs, promoting through this practice the development of key competence and transversal skills. Music is an universal language that can help foster the development of interpersonal, communicative, and cognitive skills. My objective for the doctoral thesis is to analyze the personal and educational profile of the student body of university orchestras in the whole Europe, actually. Specific objectives, some of them is to analyze the personal profiles of students, like gender, like age and family environment, for example, who participate in university orchestras. Is to analyze the educational profile through variables such as a very university degree, average university entrance grade, level of musical training and transversal skills, like leadership, coordination, communication, etc. To analyze is to analyze the level of cultural identity of the students of university orchestras through the test of constitutional and socio-cultural knowledge of each country, and to establish relationships between the practice in university orchestras and the acquisition of transversal competencies. The methodology of my thesis is interpretative approach. The research belongs to the type of study known as observational plus sectional, non-experimental design, and quantitative instruments through a questionnaire. The instruments for the realization of this study will use instruments for the measurement of the different tests of constitutional and sociocultural knowledge that different European countries make available to the citizens for obtaining the nationality. Another instrument, the Teamwork Skills Questionnaire, TSQ, O'Neill in 1999, which assesses an individual's level of ability to participate effectively in teamwork will be used to establish the level of transversal skills. Well, another resource is once the data has been collected, analysis of the data obtained at the statistical level in order to draw conclusions according to the variables of the questionnaire for the writing of the thesis. And another resource is in library of the Central to Vigo, and like the university, in technological resource, specific research software and common software in office suite, etc. I implant this thesis, okay, 2 minutes, okay, for temporary planning since October 2021, this October actually, and to February 2023. The final part of the thesis it will in February to December and to April 2025. And this is all. Thank you for your attention. I expect that is for you and is for me very important to share the music and the experience of the university orchestras in Europe is an important project.
Thank you so much, Mario. We have 5 minutes on the clock. Who would like to get us started with questions?
Okay.
If no question, that's fine. We can move to the next presenter because we have a shortage of time. Thank you, Dri.
Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and follow that suggestion. Thank you so much. We are going to go ahead and go to Maria at this point. Maria, you have 10 minutes on the clock. The stage is yours.
Okay, I cannot share the screen.
Give us one moment.
Yes. So that's it. So my name is Maria Domínguez. I am in the first year of the PhD. So I'm going to talk about the curricular treatment of contemporary music in formal teachings. So the interest of this research comes from the necessity to analyze the presence and role of contemporary music in music education at different educational levels. So contemporary music is one of the many artistic aesthetics that have emerged during the 20th and 21st centuries, and this is due to the birth of new forms of expression which move away from the conventional musical parameters. So contemporary music has a low presence in society, in communication media, and in music education, which makes it practically unknown to the vast majority of people. Contemporary music is usually forgotten in music education because it's mainly based on classic and popular music of the past, and it does not care in general about the new musical creations. Kureses affirms that there is a pending debt in music pedagogy with the didactics of contemporary music. The lack of connection between musical education and contemporary music makes it difficult to understand this new language. Normally, this kind of music is relegated to a more specific audience and music professionals. We believe that education should not be distant from the culture of its time. It must be educated in all types of music in order to achieve an integrated education. So the inclusion of numerous musical aesthetics is fundamental without excluding current ones. So in addition, the use of contemporary music from the first courses offers numerous possibilities on the discovery, manipulation, and experimentation with the sound. So we start from our concern for the interpretation and study of 20th and 21st century music, and we observe with concern the disconnection between contemporary music and music education. We are aware of this low presence in the training of students, and consequently we realize about the lack of training of teachers in this field. Like Diaz says, the responsible educator must be interested in the current sound phenomenon. So the general objective of this thesis is to analyze the present and role of contemporary music in music education at different educational levels. The specific objectives are to find out the training and competencies that teachers have in contemporary music, to observe the importance that teachers attach to the use of contemporary music in the classroom, to know the resources used by the teacher in the classroom, and to analyze the current situation of the curriculum in the different educational stages. About methodology, the present research is based on an interpretative approach. Also, it's a mixed methodology based on the simultaneous use of qualitative and quantitative methods. The qualitative method will be carried out through an analysis of the legislative content, interviews, and group discussions. Yet at the quantitative level, we will use a questionnaire to know the profile of the teachers and to analyze variables such as training and teaching practice. About the instruments used are meta-analysis based on scientific evidence on the use of contemporary music in classrooms at different educational stages, legislative test, and questionnaire made ad hoc and validated by expert personnel in the field that we will allow to evaluate the use of contemporary music in primary, secondary classrooms, and conservatoriums of music. The resources, once the results have been collected, an analysis of the data obtained will be carried out to draw conclusions based on the variables studied. The resources used are the following ones. The bibliographic resources can be found at the library of the university from which the research is carried out, for example, Library of the University of Jaén and Vigo. And among the technological resources, we have to mention many the computer resources and a specific research software. In this regard, we have SPSS, bibliographic databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, or Excel program. So the rest of the software to be used are usual office suites and online questionnaires. So to conclude about the time planning of this research plan is from 2021 to 2022. We will determine the research plan and the review the bibliographic sources. We will make the compilation of the theoretical conceptual basis. We will construct the theoretical framework, and we will make the instrument adaptation. From 2023 to 2024, we will draw the first article on the stage of the question. We will continue drawing the theoretical framework. We will make the data analysis. We will write the empirical framework, and we will make the final drawing of the thesis. So thank you so much for the attention. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me.
Thank you so much, family. We have 5 minutes on the clock. Does anyone have any questions for Maria?
I think there is no question. So because we are running out of time, that's why I'm sorry about my
No
apology.
worries. Our last one, family, is Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you have 10 minutes on the clock, and thank you so much for everyone's patience today. Okay. Where is Emmanuel? Did we lose them again?
He was there.
He was. I do know, let's wait one more second, family. I know he had texted earlier, does want to present, but was having technical difficulties.
Might he joined from Ghana, might have some technical difficulties. By this time, can we hear from Tenzin from room to, the other room, who are the best presenters from our judges? Feedback, comments.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the presenters once again. I learned a lot from you, and also everyone who attended the panel. Everyone provided very positive, developmental, and collaborative feedback. And again, I suggested that if you want to get in touch with anybody, feel free to share your email, your LinkedIn, or your Twitter handles in the chat, and you can do that in the main one as well, just to continue creating that collaborative, positive environment. So we actually had a tie from both of the judges, or from one judge, it was 2 points apart, but I'm going to call it a tie. And the tie was between Harriet B. Fox and Brittney R. Davis. So congratulations to both of you. And to everyone else who presented, because everyone did a great job.
Yay, and in room A, family, our top 2 presenters today with the total score. Shihua, Brazill, was our top scorer today, family. Thank you very much, and congratulations. With Phattra, Marbang as our second contestant with the second highest score. Everyone was amazing. Thank you so much for all of your participation. This was a wonderful experience. And again, reach out to us. We are here as resources. Sending it back to you, Sharif.
Oh, thank you, Dre and Tenzin, for your hard work. I appreciate both of you. And there were some technical issues. I also appreciate Dr. Welsh, Dr. Desai, Dr. Daly, and Dr. Goldman for their hard work. Appreciate you all. Thank you so very much. We have Dr. Rosalind Ravi. She's our star advisor, senior scholars. Dr. Ravi, if you have some suggestion for a minute for us, thank you so very much for joining. Dr. Rosalind Ravi, please.
Hello, everybody. And I first need to apologize for missing some of the sessions. I've been popping in and out. From what I have heard, it has been an exciting array of topics and ideas that have been shared. And I want to congratulate all of you on the work that you have done thus far. I would like to also invite you to consider the Journal of Comparative and International Higher Education, to either register to be a reviewer and next year to submit what we call a graduate student or emerging scholars research summary that we could consider for publication. We do an issue every year, and that will be due in the late summer next year. So thank you very much, and I'll put my information in the chat for everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. You are here. We are honored. I know you are the mentor of Dr. Gauri, and he's my mentor. Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for joining here. I appreciate you all. I am preparing your certificates, and I'll send you your certificates, all the presenters, who are the best presenters. And I don't know how to thank my two friends, Dre and Tenzin, for without their help, it would not be possible to conduct it. And the presenters, the judges, your help, your support, your contribution. And I have two colleagues over here, Samikshya, she also worked with me in the journal. She's from Japan, and Sara, who got, she's from Spain. Thank you all. I'm happy that Sara got, and Shihua, Brazill, she's also our friend in AERA group. So I'm so glad, and I have no word to thank you all. Dr. Desai also, she also worked in our journal. Dr. Wells also work, and Dr. Goldman and Dr. Dali, they are also, we all are family. Again and again, what de-stealing family, really, we all are family. We all are here. And there are more opportunities coming. Our intention is to develop ourselves as a graduate. How can we develop graduate students? How can we be some change makers, contributors to the community? These are our focus. Thank you all. I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause for everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity.
Thank you. I'll contact you all with the certificate.
Thank you, all of you, please.
Thank you.
Happy to join this STAR conference.
Dre, Tenzin, you are so awesome. Oh my God, I cannot believe it would not be possible for me. And
yeah, she handled it so
well. Dr. Desai, everyone. When I emailed Dr. Goldman, she told us, sorry, really, I'm very happy. So, you know, thank you. Thank you. Everyone just voluntarily came and helped this session possible. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wonderful night. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.